Hi everyone, happy Friday. For this week's, I was assigned Education in Indian Country Running in Place. This article is about Native Americans living in South Dakota's Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. The article discussed the atrocious data about Native Americans' education in America. The article stated that there is a high dropout rate among the Native Americans. 80% of the families on the reservation, 40,000 of them, are unemployed. 40,000 members, I apologize, and are often dead by the time they're 50 due to alcoholism. If these facts weren't horrible enough, the article went into detail comparing Native Americans' standardized test scores while comparing them to the national average. On page 7 of the article, it discusses how in South Dakota, which has the highest proportion of Native American students of any state, they lag on every academic indicator. According to the state's 2012-2013 report card, 42% of American Indian students scored proficient or advanced. Sounds great, doesn't it? While 80% of white students did so. In reading, 47% of American Indian students scored proficient or higher, compared to 79% of white students. It's crazy facts. However, there is some good news in all of this. There was a research study done by about how if Native Americans are taught their native language, they perform better academically than their peers that don't. I also noted that in the article, it discusses how the students, when they're taught their native language, are actually more interested in going to school and learning about it because they want to know the why. Why are things the way they are on the reservation? Why are things happening the way they are? And how can we fix it? And then the final thing I want to touch on, because I'm already at 2 minutes, is at the very end. This is a really, really interesting read. I really recommend it. The very end of the article really touched like a point with me. Let me switch to the back. So, a little quote. There's all this focus, especially under No Child Left Behind, on data and scores, when that isn't who people are. Academics is just one part of education, but the rest of white stream America is the whole part of it. The only way you can show success. Well, we want our children to be relatives. So the Native Americans, this was by one of the principals. That was a quote, Mr. Bordox. They are actually, the majority of their funding is self-funding. They go out and they gather money from like all different types of funding. So they're very little state funding. So they're actually able to teach their native language. They're able to teach their religion. And this is allowing them to not have to be held to so much of the state standards, which is allowing them to focus on their kids more directly, and that's their overall goal. And that kind of touches home with me because sometimes I really think we don't look at the whole student, we look at their test scores.